I am a NASCAR fan, and like the vast majority of other fans, not just of NASCAR, but motorsports in general, I have a favorite driver that I root for whenever he races. Drivers losing races in stupid ways is very common, whether the racer folds under pressure, fails a crucial pit stop, or the spotter tells you clear high when you just aren't clear. You as the driver have somewhat of a part in losing that race. What if hypothetically, none of that happened and losing the race was completely out of your control? In fact, what if the competition directors who are supposed to help keep the race safe and consistent completely blow it? Well, today I'm here to tell you the story of how after a single day, I learned to start worrying and hate the current state of NASCAR. I am in the small demographic of younger NASCAR fans, so I've grown up and learned to accept things that they've implemented over the past 10 years, such as the current playoff format, overtime, and stage cautions. I do not like these things, particularly overtime, however they are unavoidable and likely will not be changed in the near future. That being said, the people directing the race can choose to properly coordinate, or more often than not, improperly coordinate simple tasks like throwing the yellow. Off the top of my head, Texas 2022, Ryan Blaney is less than 100 feet from the line on the final lap when a caution is thrown. Normally when you take the white flag, the next flag ends the race, but since this was the All-Star race, the rules state that the race had to end under green. So that meant Ryan Blaney had to frantically try to put his window net back up before they black flagged him for having it down. You might be saying, well, rules are rules, what's wrong with NASCAR enforcing them? The problem didn't lie within the ruling, the problem lied within what they threw the caution for. Ricky didn't even spin. In fact, he had the car under control for 2/3 of the slide. The only saving grace for the situation was that Ryan Blaney still went on to win the race because of how hard it was to pass, but this race has still left a bitter taste in the mouths of many NASCAR fans, including me. So have they improved since then? Absolutely not. This is NASCAR we're talking about. Indianapolis 400 2024. Kyle Larson is driving away from the pack in second overtime when Ryan Preece spins on the backstretch, sitting in the middle of the road. Since this is a normal race, if the white flag comes out, the next flag will end the race. NASCAR decided to wait a full 38 seconds to throw a caution, while poor Preece was stuck doing donuts on the backstretch like he won the race. In all fairness, NASCAR was likely trying to avoid a repeat of the Nashville race earlier that year, which ended in a record-setting 5 overtime finish, which is a story for another video. The controversy still could have been avoided, however, as they could have at least been consistent and thrown the yellow for Preece. However, they created a whole other controversy by people claiming NASCAR rigged the race in Larson's favor. The last caution debacle I want to talk about before we get into the main meat of this video is throwing the caution on the final lap. This can be used for good, as demonstrated by this year's Xfinity race at Daytona, where virtually the entire field wrecked coming to the white flag and crashed all down the front stretch. If they let this finish play out, there would be cars sitting everywhere with debris thrown around like a minefield, creating an extremely dangerous environment for the safety team and the drivers who potentially could have been injured in the wreck. However, there is a negative side to this as well. Just 2 days prior, in the second race in the Daytona Duel, Austin Cindric and Eric Jones were at a dead heat coming across the line, with Eric Jones appearing to cross the line first. Behind the two though, Shane Van Gisbergen and a few others wrecked coming to the line, prompting NASCAR, for whatever reason, to throw the caution literal meters before the line. The results were called back as Cindric was ahead of Jones at the time of caution. 1. The wreck was behind the leaders and only a few stragglers were behind the wreck. 2. The cars in the main pack would have slowed down for the cooldown lap anyway, and would 110% be smart enough to listen to their spotters, who are likely telling them, wreck on the front stretch. 3. The caution lights come on after the checkered flag is displayed anyway. Why? NASCAR is so logically flawed sometimes, it genuinely breaks my brain. This is not the only example, however. The first full NASCAR race I ever watched was the Talladega Spring Race for the Xfinity Series, when Brendan Poole was robbed of his first NASCAR win. Or more recently in the 2022 Trucks race at Talladega, when Brett Holmes was robbed of his first and potentially team-saving win. Mind you, in the year previous, a similar accident happened out of Turn 4 into the Tri-Oval and the caution was never thrown. In my mind though, one instance trumps all of the previous examples. But first, a little context. I have been a Parker Kligerman fan since 2022 when, in just 12 starts for the underdog Truck Series team Henderson Motorsports, he would end the season with 1 win, 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and not a single finish outside the top 20. Watching him outrace the eventual champion Zane Smith to take the win at Mid-Ohio will forever be in my memory. These performances likely led to Kligerman getting his first full-time opportunity in a decade, driving the number 48 car for Big Machine Racing in the Xfinity Series in 2023. Parker had some really good performances, like the Atlanta Spring Race, where if not for Daniel Hemrick, he could have had a good chance at straight up beating Austin Hill, or at Watkins Glen, where he avoided 2 late race wrecks to finish third behind Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer. He could have won Texas as well if not for getting loose in the final 8 laps, letting John Hunter Nemechek through and win the race. Big Machine proved a year prior that they were a team capable of winning races after Tyler Reddick scored their first victory at Texas. Kligerman did everything but win this season. He won a stage, he made the playoffs on points, he scored a pole, and ended the year with 8 top 5s and 18 top 10s and a top 15 average finish, the best statistical full-time season in his career up to this point, maybe other than his 2012 Truck Series season. Heading into 2024, it was confirmed that Parker would once again be running full-time for the 48 team. He would get close to winning in the regular season again, however he would fail to score a pole, and due to an inconsistent first quarter of the season, he was once again on the playoff bubble. The Daytona Summer Race was a brutal loss, and at first I was frustrated. Oh! No caution, no caution, no caution, no caution. No caution, no caution. What? You gotta be kidding me. Come on, guys. But after I calmed down, I realized NASCAR had to throw the caution, despite it being a one-car accident, as AJ Allmendinger could have gotten smoked by one of the back markers pretty easily. Parker would go on an insane run, as from the 13th race at Portland to the championship race at Phoenix, Parker would not finish a single race outside of the top 20 and only finish outside the top 15 twice. His crazy consistency netted him an 11.9 average finish compared to his 13.2 the previous year. He led 8 more laps in 2024 and finished 1 more race on the lead lap than the previous year. He had the same amount of DNFs at 2 and would make the playoffs for a second straight season, ending with 5 top 5s and 15 top 10s. Headed into the playoff cutoff race at the Charlotte Roval, Parker was in need of a good day to make it to the round of 8. With just 11 laps to go, he's in 5th on better tires than the leader Shane Van Gisbergen. Parker has challengers such as Sam Mayer and AJ Allmendinger, however Parker was unfazed and would drive to the lead fairly quickly. At this point, despite not being a man of God, I was praying so hard that nothing would go wrong. Coming out of the final couple of corners on the penultimate lap, the camera jump cut to a car wedged deep into the barriers, Leland Honeyman Jr. At this point, I'm floored. I'm anxiously awaiting to see if NASCAR decides to throw the caution. I wait, and nothing happens for a good 15 seconds. Suddenly, the despair turns to excitement, as I remember how inconsistent NASCAR has been with the caution throwing. At this point, I'm ready to start celebrating. The caution comes out at the line, and I hop out of my seat screaming, "He won! He won!" I was genuinely almost crying with joy. And then I hear, "Did the caution come out before the white?"
And they're saying that the caution came out prior to the white flag being displayed before he got to the start-finish line.
In that moment, I knew what was about to happen, and yet I couldn't bring myself to watch. I turned the TV off and just sat and genuinely reconsidered if I would ever watch NASCAR again. I checked the results later that night, and to my dismay, Sam Mayer would win his way into the next round, bumping Parker out of the round of 8, and officially ending Parker's chances of winning an Xfinity Series race. It genuinely took me about 2 months to watch the race recap, and it was just as bad as I thought. This race is the definition of why you have to be consistent with your ruling. If they had thrown the caution 5, hell even 10 seconds after the 42 car had crashed, I wouldn't have been surprised, nor would I have been disappointed, because it would have been the right decision. But no, they waited 19 full seconds only to throw the yellow a millisecond before Parker crossed the line. I am 200% convinced that whoever hit the caution button was waiting for Parker to cross the line, but hit it just a bit too early, because why else would you wait that long to throw the caution? I mean, seriously, the crash deserves it. Leland is 15 meters into the tire barriers, for God's sake. This is what made me jaded to NASCAR as a whole this year. NASCAR found another way to take away a Parker Kligerman win at Daytona earlier this year. That was mostly the team's fault and not NASCAR's, at least that's what I hope. Big Machine scored a victory this year with rookie Nick Sanchez, and while I was initially conflicted, I now believe that this is complete redemption from 2023 Atlanta Spring and 2024 Atlanta Summer. For the team's sake and my sanities, I really hope they finish better than 10th in the playoffs this year. At this point, I would like to give a piece of hope that you all could cling on to, but the reality is NASCAR isn't going to change overnight, and it is certainly not going to listen to us. So all we can do is hunker down and hope they realize how ridiculously inconsistent and illogical they are, and maybe, just maybe, get rid of overtime too. At the end of the day, I'm still a NASCAR fan through and through. Moments like this make me question, is it really worth it? Hell yeah, it's worth it. Bubba won Indy, let's go! Let me know what you thought of this race in the comments below, and let me know what incident made you realize maybe NASCAR's officiating really does suck. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Silence.